Welcome to the Marvel Alliance podcast, where we cover anything and everything to do with the Marvel Universe. From the comics, TV, and movies, we'll go from the Mojoverse to Earth 616 to Queens, New York, in order to bring the Marvel Universe right to you. I'm the man without fear, Chris.
And I'm your friendly neighborhood Brent.
Alliance, assemble. Volume 92. And we got a lot of news to talk about, including, like it seems to happen a lot of times for this show, news that happens hours before we record, which is not a bad problem to have.
No, I'll take it. It's better than happening tomorrow.
That's true. And saying, hey, it's a week old, but we're talking about it. How's your week been, Brent?
I really can't complain, all things considered. Had a snow day yesterday, and this might be weird for people, but Wednesday is my favorite day to have off during the week. I don't want Mondays. I don't want Fridays. I want Wednesdays. You know, have a weekend, work a couple days, a day off, work a couple days, and a weekend again. That's how I like to do it. So I'm like, oh, tomorrow's already Friday. That's great.
And you know what? These days, sometimes with Disney Plus, you get a Disney Plus kind of day, too.
I did take advantage and I was able to watch Book of Boba Fett at like 1 p.m. instead of waiting for my kids to go to bed in the evening. So it was great. I watched that, and I watched Superman and Lois both much earlier than I normally get to them.
There you go. Positives all around.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Good. Week's been good. Life's good. You know, can't complain.
What more can you ask?
I know, really. I mean, why? You know, I could complain, but why bother? So. But all right, let us get the network plugs out of the way. So we've got we are part of the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network with 8 shows. We got on Mondays, my show, World's Finest True Believers. I dropped a new episode this week with Katie from Star Wars Alliance and Slice of Film, looking at one of her new favorite comic book arcs, from Star Wars, a little mini-series called The War of the Bounty Hunters. How timely, all focused on Boba Fett.
That's right. It's like you guys planned it that way.
I know. I don't even know if we really planned it that way or just happenstance, but we'll go with planned it that way. So, and next week, alternating bi-weekly, comes back Ranger Alliance. So they'll be coming back next week with a new episode. On Tuesdays, you got DC Alliance. Wednesday, Superhero Discussion. Star Wars Alliance on Thursdays, and the show on Fridays. And on Saturdays, a walk through the multiverse, alternating bi-weekly, and a slice of film on Sunday. That is currently on hiatus, but it will be coming back soon with new episodes. On Monday nights on the Geekverse YouTube channel, DC Alliance goes live at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Star Wars Alliance goes live on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this show goes live at 9:10 Eastern Standard Time, all on the Geekverse Podcast YouTube channel. And all 3 of those shows have their own solo feeds, so make sure you check those out if you just want to listen to those shows in addition to, or you can just go to the GUA network feed and get all the goodies. And we do have a Patreon, so we want to thank our patrons. We can't do this without your support. We have 2 tiers. We got the $1 tier, that it's our tip jar to say, hey, you're telling us we're doing a good job. And then we've got our $5 tier that gives you ad-free episodes, early access episodes, and Patreon-exclusive episodes. As we said last week, we have our first episode of We Can Watch This All Day, the Marvel Alliance MCU rewatch, where we have covered Captain America, the first Avenger, and the Peggy Carter one-shot. Also, Travis and Clay have their 2-issue review, issue 3 and 4 of Batman 89, I believe, is up there. And then Mr. Travis Hines has a new monthly or bi-monthly or whoever he's going to be doing it in his top 5s. And this time it was his top 5 NES games. So we've got some great content coming at you. So if you're not joining us on Patreon, again, we're making a huge push with it this year. So every month you're going to have a number of content. So we really do appreciate your support. But if you can't join us on Patreon, we totally understand. But if you can take 30 to 90 seconds and rate the Marvel Alliance solo feed and or the GUA feed on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever platform of choice may be, we greatly appreciate it. And as always, we want to thank our sponsor, OrganicPriceBooks.com, for all your omnibus, hardcover, and collected edition needs. JP and the crew at OPB have got it all going on. Excellent packaging, ships around the world, great customer service, and use that code MarvelGUA at checkout for $2 off every single order. Every time you can use it. It is unlimited times. Thank you, OPB, for sponsoring Marvel Alliance. All right, so we have a lot of news, and I don't know if I would have called this, but guess what? if you're watching us on the YouTube right now or later on, you can tell by the background image. Who would have thought we'll be talking about Madame Webb 2 weeks in a row?
I know, right? That's so ridiculous. I was like, oh my God, come on, give me a break. But at least they gave us, they cast somebody interesting. Let's give them that. At least there's somebody interesting for it.
Yes. So this was the one I was hinting towards that broke hours before airing tonight. Spider-Man's Madame Webb eyeing Dakota Johnson as lead star. So according to a report from Deadline, actress Dakota Johnson, known for her roles in 50 Shades of Grey and The Social Network, is the frontrunner for the lead role for S.J. Clarkson's Madame Webb that is currently being courted by Sony. Johnson became the frontrunner after Sony cut down their list of actresses after an extensive 2-month search. Johnson's had quite a year with her critically acclaimed role in Netflix's The Lost Daughter. The Lost Daughter. Her Sundance film, Cha Cha Real Smooth, it sold to Apple in 2021 for $15 million after premiering at the festival, and she can next be seen in Persuasion. Clarkson, who is showrunning this, is currently directing the executive to be showrunning, but the director of this film, executive producing the adaptation of the best-selling novel Anatomy of Scandal. She directed an episode of Jesse Armstrong's Emmy Award-winning Succession, and she directed and executive produced the critically acclaimed miniseries Collateral, starring Carey Mulligan. She also is the lead director and executive producer on Marvel's The Defenders and Jessica Jones. We got a lot of pedigree. So with this, we talked about Madame Webb. We didn't go into too much background, but now that we've got as always, a no comment of casting at that point, but it's coming from Deadline, so the sources are pretty high on this one. So who is Madame Webb? Well, Madame Webb is technically 2 people at this point. Cassandra Webb of Marvel Comics source material is a mutant born in Salem, Oregon. She is afflicted with a neuromuscular disease that leaves her paralyzed and blind, but she has a formidable psychic powers of telepathy, clairvoyance, and precognition, allowing her insight into events well beyond the capability of her physical body. Madame Webb gets her name from the web-like life support machine she's hooked to, which looks like a giant spider's web. Webb has other ties to the Spider-Man universe. She's the grandmother of Charlotte Witter, who became the villain version of Spider-Woman. She's also tied to Julia Carpenter, the second version of Spider-Woman that served on the Avengers. When Cassandra is mortally wounded by Kraven the Hunter, she transfers all her powers of telepathy, clairvoyance, and precognition to a woman named Julia Carpenter, formerly known as Arcane and Spider-Woman. So, based on, Dakota Johnson and her age, I think we're leaning towards she's probably going to be playing Julia Carpenter. Not saying that she can't play the original Cassandra Webb, but if they're kind of leaning towards the source material on this one, it would fit a little bit better. But, what do you think?
I completely agree. I was thinking about it. I'm like, Julia Carpenter, they could almost show her as a Spider-Woman first, or like real briefly. Maybe even go like an Ant-Man route where you have the Scott Lang type version, have the older previous version of Madame Webb as she is bringing in Julia Carpenter. There have been several Spider-Women. So Julia Carpenter is the one who had the black costume. That was a lot like the Venom costume. It looked like that. It looked like the black Spider-Man costume. Really cool Spider-Woman costume. Looks great. Mm-hmm. It'd be cool to see a sequence with that before she got her Madame Web powers. I do think that Julia Carpenter as Madame Web is a little more interesting because the older Madame Web, the elder one, the original, she just kind of sits there all the time, right? Like she doesn't really do anything. Julia Carpenter at least gets a little more involved. As there's, again, like I said last week, I don't get why this is a movie. I still don't understand it. If they made her a Nick Fury type character who was going to pop up in various spider-related movies, it would make all the sense in the world to me. As a solo project, I don't get it, but yeah, I'll go see it.
S-Bubs in the chat. It's pretty funny. Or is this a hot Aunt May situation?
I guess.
Whatever floats your boat these days. But
some people tell you they just did that, but Whatever works for you.
Yeah, I mean, again, with Madame Web, my first introduction to her was on the animated show. And so then I got into the comics a little bit more, so seeing her through there. But again, if we are leaning towards this whole idea of a Spider-Verse, Madame Web is very much at the center of this.
Do you know who voiced her on the 90s Spider-Man cartoon?
I cannot remember for the life of me.
Joan Lee, wife of Stan Lee.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, Travis Hines is literally yelling at us.
He is. He's not yelling at both of us. He's just
yelling at me. Yeah, just yelling at me. Exactly.
Yeah, I did always think that was cool. Just a nice little, I don't know if Easter egg's appropriate, but we'll go with Easter egg. When I found that out, I thought that was pretty cool.
That is very cool. So no basically date for this, but it sounds like, again, they're ramping up for getting ready to start maybe sometime at the end of this year for filming. Again, this leads in the way of, we got Olivia Wilde's Spider-Woman. We've got that Silk show on Amazon. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I need some things to start getting into production.
Yeah. Let's say this does go into production this year. Probably looking at late 2023, early 2024 is a likely release timeframe, something like that. And I have no idea what to expect from this. Like, who is the villain going to be? Is there a villain? Is there just an antagonist? I mean, the last time I really remember her having larger presences was in the Spider-Verse comics. She's definitely been around besides that. But the Spider-Verse series where they faced off with the Inheritors. All right, I'd be certainly interested in that. I like those characters, but I don't know where this goes. I can't figure it out.
But she's mainly been a supporting player. I mean, I don't remember many. If there was a solo Madame Web series, it didn't last that long, or as a mini series just in general. So it's very interesting they're bringing this forward. But again, Sony be Sony, but they're leaning really hard into marketing the spider character. So I mean, go for it. I mean, but it wouldn't be the first. It wouldn't be my first choice necessarily. I would bring Madame Web in, but not a whole movie focused on her. But again, I'll be the first one to say you were right, Sony. That was amazing. But right now,
yeah. Obviously, if the movie happens, we want it to succeed. I don't want to spend what I feel like is going to be an hour and 45 minutes tops sitting in a movie theater not enjoying myself. So definitely, we want it to succeed. But. We'll see. I will be interested to follow this one as the news and the rumors comes out.
Yeah, we've got a new chatter and a Rodimus Rib. I'm sorry.
Rodimus Prime Rib.
Rodimus Prime Rib. Yes, Rodimus Prime Rib. There we go. Yes, Rodimus Prime Rib. Thank you. He's in our OPB chats at late night, which we actually are having one after the show. So, okay. Sexy Madame Webverse. Yes. Everyone's leaning hard into this whole thing. Yeah, exactly.
What is it, 50 Shades of Madame Web or something?
50 Shades of it works, get caught in the web of Mr. Gray. So, S-Bub saying the closest one to actually happening so far is Kraven, Silk, and Spider-Woman have basically gotten no info. Yeah, Kraven, like we talked about the other episode. It's I don't know. It's just going to be interesting. I'll wait to see when we get a synopsis about this.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yep.
Just got to see what they do with it.
Yep. All right. So our next story, which was going to be our main story until this broke, Marvel rumor teases big plans for Natalie Portman after Thor 4. So popular, quote-unquote scooper, insider, whatever have you, at Time to Shine's Hello recently revealed on Twitter that Jane Foster's Thor could be in the line to have her own solo outing in the MCU. Geeks Worldwide, Casey Walsh supported the claim, saying that it's more than could and closer to will, suggesting that the plans are in place for Natalie Portman's Goddess of Thunder, the mighty Thor, to lead a Marvel project. So Jane Foster's leading in her own solo series would certainly be interesting. So what do you think? Could this be Natalie Portman continue this character? I've read the comics. I think have you read the kind of some of the Jane Foster run?
I have read the Jason Aaron Mighty Thor run. Like I've read all of that. It's fantastic. Highly recommend it. I have not read the stuff that came after that, because my understanding is she became a new character and became a Valkyrie, or she goes by the name Valkyrie. I have not read any of that. I think as Valkyrie, she showed up in an issue or two of Thor that I have read since, and I'm not current on the Donny Cates Thor run, or even Marvel Unlimited current. I got 2 or 3 in the bank there I need to read. To me, my first thought was, if she doesn't keep the hammer after this movie, maybe she becomes a Valkyrie. Maybe, but of course we already have Tessa Thompson, but there could be more than one. All I know is I'm into the idea, because I thought, unlike, say, Madame Webb, I totally see where you could do more Jane Foster stories as a hero. And I like her. Natalie Portman, I don't think they gave her that much to do in the first couple Thor movies, and so this will be, I think, pretty interesting. And I like the idea. I hope this doesn't mean the end of Chris Hemsworth. If it does, I can't really complain, because we will have seen, 4 solo movies, 4 Avengers movies. Plus, I feel like I'm missing something, but no, I think that's it. 4 solo and 8 appearances by the guy. That's a great run for him, if this is indeed his last one. Hopefully it's not, but we haven't even seen Natalie Portman yet as Thor, and I'm already like, yes, I would take more than one appearance by her.
Yeah, Chris Hemsworth has said he's one of these. He's gone on record saying he'll play it until either he tires of it, or they tell him they want to go in another direction. So he's in it for the long haul. Yeah. I've said during,
which, to be fair, not like he's doing that much else. He's doing a couple other things, but not a lot. Let's be real.
Tell you what, I'm looking forward to see that first trailer for that Hulk Hogan movie. He's portraying Hulk Hogan.
That should be interesting. And there's I'm forgetting the name of it. He had a Netflix movie that I really liked quite a bit, and. Like, I can see it, but now I'm forgetting the name of it.
Someone's going to scream it. Espelps will get us in the chat.
I'm going to find out. I'm going to find out. We'll see who gets there first.
But so yes, the Valkyrie happens as a result of the War of the Realm storyline at that point. Without going into...
Yeah, it's Extraction, Espelps. I hedged. I should have went with
it. Without getting into too many details, we've seen the set photos... At least I've seen the set photos of her, Natalie Portman, on set, and she's jacked up in the sense, like she is definitely bulked up for this role. I don't know if they're gonna go down the route of when they introduced the Mighty Thor and revealed who it was, what was going on with Jane Foster at the time.
Right.
I don't want to get into too much of that. If you've read the comics, if you haven't read it, read at your own. I don't want to kind of spoil that idea, because I think it could be very interesting if they include that with it. But in any case, Natalie Portman doing a series, doing a TV show, it kind of will lead to our discussion of our next topic at that point. I don't know if she is wanting to do more than just a season of something like that. Could I see her leading? She's a leading actress. She's led her own movies. So, yes, bring on the Mighty Thor. And again, depending on where Thor stands at the end of this, which will also be comic accurate, Thor was not worthy at the time Jane Foster came into play and became the Mighty Thor. So maybe we go down that route, and that he is deemed unworthy or something happens and she basically takes on Mjolnir, because again, we don't have Mjolnir proper right now. We have Stormbreaker.
I'm really wondering what happens there, because Steve took the hammer back with him, so presumably it was put away. Maybe they get Eitri to reforge it or something.
We have that shard. We have seen some promotional stuff from it, and she's holding, I think, Mjolnir.
So we'll find out, but I'm really excited for this one. I love Thor Ragnarok, so I'm really excited for this one.
I would love it to be, in the sense of we have 2 different kinds of Thors running around in different ways, but the question is, which do we get both of them on the same Avengers team? That would be pretty awesome.
Man, that would be a stacked team, though, as far as power goes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It'd be a lot of fun, but I think this is... Again, not saying that a series isn't in order, but I think a movie could be really interesting. So both will be interesting, but I think a movie is more likely at this point. And the fact that they were able to get Natalie Portman to come back after her very She wasn't vocal about it, but she did go on record a couple times how disappointed she was as a result of The Dark World. And a lot of that was tied to Patty Jenkins leaving the project at the time as well. So, and how that happened. So the fact that Taika and Kevin Feige got her back, yeah, great for a part, but it seems like she wants to stay for a little bit longer. At least I'm hoping. So
Hopefully.
Yep. All right, our next story is, like I said, timing into this came out kind of a little surprising. Moon Knight star suggests Disney Plus show could end after one season. As part of Variety's Actors on Actors series, which if you all have not at least gone to Variety and checked out the Actors on Actors series, it is really cool to watch. I've watched them all, but when you get people like the last one I watched was Andy Garfield and Rachel Zenger. That was such a cool discussion in the sense of two younger, actress at the just becoming into her own and just hitting the world strong with just her very first movie. And then you got Andrew Garfield coming off his successes this year, both of them from very big theater backgrounds. It was such a cool discussion to have. So, I mean, check out the Actors on Actors series. It's great.
Yes.
It's great 30 minutes discussions. But Oscar Isaac was sitting down with Jared Leto and talking about his both of their respective projects. But we'll focus on not the hierarchy of the MCU being changed with Morbius. Legendary. Yes, legendary. While recalling his experience in collecting comics when he was younger, Oscar Isaac admitted, "I'd never heard of Moon Knight before, and I collected comics when I was younger. I'd heard of Morbius, but I'd never heard of Moon Knight. I don't know how the process was for you because it's a feature film. We're a limited series." So he says that, and everyone cannot take off running. So as a limited series are defined as shows the storyline and characters that not only span a season, Moon Knight has been developed as a single season show. However, there have been recent interests in marketing that receiving multiple seasons. So it could depend. Right now, he's calling it a limited series, and he's framing it like that. He discussed the advantages of being featured in a series rather than a movie, pointing out that there was a lot of room to try stuff because there wasn't the pressure of going to make however many hundreds of millions of dollars on opening weekend. So we could make it a very point of view. We could make it very weird decisions. At the moment, at least, and I don't imagine it's going to go backwards, it feels like where there's more risk is being taken because of it can financially. So I was a little surprised hearing him saying this is right now a limited series. And, to be fair, as Kevin Feige has said before, we don't get those everything's right now a single season until they say otherwise. And right now, the only one we really have confirmation of being a second season is Loki. And so everything else, they've said maybe. Oscar Isaac being as big of a star as he is, I mean, his star is continually rising and getting growing. I personally would I love to see more seasons of Moon Knight, with only based on the trailer. Yes. If this is basically their way of getting as much of the origin in a six episode show to give him a movie proper at that point with cutting out all the stuff that they would have to cut out in a movie, sure. But I know in talking with Travis Snell in our chat, I know he brings up a good point that being hesitant, he hopes that Moon Knight does not just get relegated to a team-up movie and that he gets to stand on his own in a feature.
So, one, we need to remember, if it's 6 episodes, that's the equivalent of somewhere between 2 and 3 movies as far as runtime goes. Somewhere in that ballpark. So, yeah, it might only be 6 episodes, and that could be it. But even if he was relegated to the team-up guy after that, he would have had the equivalent of 2 to 3 solo movies before he just did a bunch of team-ups. I mean, that's like what Iron Man was. Iron Man was 3 team-up movies and then a bunch of team-up. 3 solo movies and a bunch of team-ups. Nobody's had more than that. So getting a full limited series is pretty close to getting a movie trilogy. No, it's not the exact same, but it's close. On top of that, Moon Knight might be a limited series, But what if he is in the Midnight Suns, as so many of us think is going to happen? That could also be a limited series. Or he could have a Moon Knight movie, like you mentioned, or a Midnight Suns movie, or he could team up and appear with, as you know, appear in the Blade movie, for example, or elsewhere. I'm not really worried about it. My thing is, and I don't think this would be the case, I would not want this to be the only time we see him. I would not want it's the Marvel universe. Part of what the fun is with Marvel, and this goes all the way back to Marvel's inception, is seeing the characters cross over. And so you don't want just the one-off. You don't want just, but think about it. There has not been any Marvel movie where they've done the movie and we haven't seen the characters after that, right? Incredible Hulk's the only movie that doesn't technically have a sequel, but we've seen Hulk a lot since then. Everything else has either had a sequel or has one in development as we speak. And so do we really think Moon Knight's going to be the first time that they're just one and done? No, I don't. So one way or the other, we will see Oscar Isaac again. You know they contracted him for more than just one appearance as in a 6-issue thing. But maybe it's just getting ahead of myself here. Of course, I want to see him in more things because I can already tell I'm going to at least enjoy the series. It's just a question of what level. But I love the trailer. He's a great actor. I'm willing to, if they had said, oh, he's rumored for a movie, I'd be excited. But it's okay. I'm willing to be patient for those rumors to come out because they will come out.
And you bring up a good point. Like Marvel has not, when they introduce a character, they haven't just abandoned them and you never see or hear from them again. Maybe a little while, but there's always coming, especially with introducing a very different hero being for Moon Knight at that point. It's going to bring a lot of different issues to the forefront. And I think with someone like Oscar Isaac, I think a lot of us were surprised that when he was cast after his very kind of vocal saying of how much of he didn't have really as good of a time with doing Star Wars as much to come into the Marvel universe, it had to be a pitch of something like he wants to, I would think he would want to continue something, but on his terms. So if, like I said, if this was a way to, we're going to get 6 episodes, we're going to build some stuff around you, you're going to do this Midnight Suns thing, you're going to do some projects that maybe you get your solo outing, we'll spread it out because here's the thing, Disney being that, again, Loki is the only season 2 we have coming, confirmed for Disney+. When you have an entire Marvel group of characters of it almost feels infinite amount of characters you could do shows and movies about, you have to be careful of what you continue on versus, because everything you give more seasons to limits what you can put out next at that point. So for every couple of season 2s and season 3s of other shows, you have to put other stuff, new shows on the back burner as where do you place those at that point. And so it's an interesting balancing game because I think we all are pretty much feeling that WandaVision was a limited series. In fact, all the awards has been put up as a limited series. So that may not be coming back. Spinoffs from it, yeah, the Agatha show is going to be a spinoff from it. So things can be brought forward, but again, I'm okay, but again, I'm very much saying this is not a bad thing as long as we continue to see him continue in projects. Would I love to see a solo movie? Yes. But if if it takes a couple of team ups to get that solo movie, we can work with that.
You know, when he first met with Feige, that he was given something he was not given with Star Wars. And that is, we have a plan. Here's an outline. Maybe it's not the specific details, but
it's not written by Reddit.
Right. It's not written by Reddit. This is our rough plan for where we see your character going. And that's not something he had with Star Wars. Let's be real. Not trying to bash the sequel trilogy, which I do enjoy overall, but they didn't have it planned out. They didn't know when they started movie 7 what the plan was for movie 8, and let alone what movie 9 was. They probably didn't even know what the titles were at that point. This is not that. He's got a plan. He's going to trust in Feige, obviously, or he wouldn't have signed on to it. I'm really, really not worried about it. Right now, we're so close to it. I'm more just focused, we're like 53, 54 days away, something like that. I am just focused on, let's get to this Moon Knight series. It's so close, then I'll be ready to look past.
Yeah, there's a lot of excitement around the character. And again, if we're leading towards this Midnight Suns, we're leading towards kind of a darker side, the supernatural side of the Marvel Universe. Yeah, let's continue on. We're gonna get more Moon Knight if this is a limited series, so be it. But again, this will not be the end of the character. We're gonna continue on very deep into this idea. So, all right, let us take our first ad break before we get into the rest of the news. So, as you know, listeners, these ads help keep the lights on in the Geek Ultimate Alliance network. We don't get to choose what ads come on, and they can be a bit loud. So I'm going to give you a 3 count to turn that volume down before they come on. 3, 2, 1. We'll be right back. And we are back. So, our next story, I found this story and I thought it was interesting just because of what was said specifically regarding, one of the MCU writers, Jeff Goldsmith, who was the writer with No Way Home with Chris McKenna, talking about why, was there ever a discussion about bringing back Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, either as a cameo, a variant, what have you? And he was very honest. He said, honestly, that's a non-starter in the halls of Marvel, at least in our experience. They just don't really like constantly invoking. He says, Tony cast such a large shadow after Endgame, which we all dealt with in Far From Home. But I think everyone felt like we just can't keep going back to the Tony well. And I think that we started realizing we were writing, that is, he wasn't the Uncle Ben. He was the father figure. There's a bond between them in Endgame, but even Peter has a photo of them that seems to be the final impetus of him risking everything to reset the balance of the universe. And so he continues on and saying, but I think in writing this, we started realizing that we had an opportunity to tell a different story for Peter Parker, that by the end of this movie, maybe is a different origin story than everyone else has assumed up to this point. And I don't think having Tony would have done anything. I think we start to realize that the moral impetus, the guide his past life with May, and that for the first time he is tested about whether he can actually truly live up to this code that she instilled in him. That is what this Peter Parker story is all about. So just that idea that bringing back Tony Stark in any kind of physical form, like at least this RDJ's Tony Stark, is a non-starter right now. That is a very interesting, very specific thing to say. Outside of Tony Stark's villains that he creates, even in death, he creates villains. But hearing that they really want his death to mean something, I'm okay with that, and I'm kind of glad to hear that.
Yeah, I completely agree. All my jokes aside, and I am so amused when people get upset that Tony Stark had a hand in a villain, but this wasn't the movie for it. This wasn't the time. Yes, Tony Stark was a very important person to Peter Parker, but he's not Uncle Ben. He was never Uncle Ben. Yes, he was a father figure like they talk about, but that's not the same. He was not Uncle Ben, who was effectively his father, who helped to raise him before he was killed, obviously. They told a different type of origin, especially by basically giving Aunt May that role in this production of being the one to kill, who is killed, who gives him that final push to responsibility. I think what they did is better than just, he remembered Tony or something like that. Or Tony is somehow involved in like something that levels up Dr. Octopus or levels up Green Goblin or something like that. Like if they just try and steal some
level
Stark
up,
tech.
level
up. Yeah, I heard it after I said it, level up. But to me, it makes sense. They also say that Tony Stark was a non-starter in the halls of Marvel in their experience. Eventually, someday, Tony Stark will be invoked again. Outside Armor Wars. I think we all assume Armor Wars will. And that's okay. That's fine. I'm glad for this story that the focus was on Spider-Man. That's where it needed to be. Because yes, Tony Stark obviously had a large shadow. He had his part to play in Homecoming. He effectively had his part to play in Far From Home, even though he wasn't personally there. It was time for Peter to move past that, and he did. And I was glad to read this, that they kind of came to the same conclusions, but if nothing else, it just would have felt too soon to go to Tony.
Yeah, especially kind of how where they left it with Far From Home with him. Fanboy Clay's in the chat saying Uncle Ben was just a deadbeat that left May years ago.
Sure, I guess. If you really think that, Clay.
Yeah. But, the idea that people say, oh, we never got to have an Uncle Ben, Uncle Ben. Again, this is we said it during the review. I'm okay with May saying the line. I'm okay with May being that person who says it, just because it's a different version for this character. It doesn't have to be. I've said it before. I have the comics. I can always go back to them, just because I don't want a page-to-screen translation. I like seeing when they get creative with it, and I was good with what they did. It was a truly emotional scene, and it gave May more than she'd had in the previous couple of movies, and it really worked. So,
yeah, absolutely. Totally agree.
All right, so we got some quick hits for these last two stories. Speaking of Loki Season 2 receives an exciting filming update. Backstage revealed that Marvel Studios is planning to film Season 2 of the Tom Hiddleston's Loki series in London this summer. No release date or casting details were confirmed at the time, although filming is set to take place in the United Kingdom's Pinewood Studios. However, the actress who plays Renslayer has confirmed she is coming back for Season 2. I don't think any of us are surprised by that, but it is good to hear at least confirmation that she is coming back, and I'm very curious to see where she left to and where they're going with this. So in the idea that this is starting to film this summer, probably we are looking at probably a 2023. This is a 2023 series. I would almost put money on that. It's going to be very interesting that we go from Spider-Man No Way Home, Multiverse of Madness. What effects is this going to be? Where is this going to place in the timeline for Loki Season 2?
Yeah, Season 1 came out in the summertime of last year. It came out in June, and or at least that's when it started, I should say. They could absolutely hit a similar time frame for a Season 2, and I think that'd be great. It'd be just a couple years between seasons. That's totally fine with me. I was excited to see this because I agree. It pretty much did mean that next year is probably when it's coming out. It is probably, barring any other massive slate delays, Loki Season 2 is probably going to come out sometime next year.
Yeah, S-Bubskin brings up a good point. Leading to Quantumania or right after? Yeah, that would be a very good place to put it, considering, Kang and where we left it at that point. That is a very, very easy place to slot in. And would they...
leading up to it, I'm going to say, based on Quantumania comes out July 28th, 2023. Okay. So if they did target a similar time frame, that would be pretty awesome to have Loki and then go right into Quantumania.
Yeah, I mean, it would be cool in the sense of do you have a, season finale that leads directly into it, some effects of it? Man, that's that's exciting to me. That is very, very exciting. Yes. So, all right, our last one, if it's Tim Roth spoiling a little bit of She-Hulk at that point. I'll put spoilers in quotes. It's more of just where his character kind of is. He's playing the Abomination. It is official. He is back in there for Abomination. Sat down with Diz Insider to talk about his upcoming role. He did say during the interview that his character Emil Blonsky, the human form of the Abomination, would be appearing, and so that he did not, he just was out there and saying it. Didn't say exactly how that's going to take place, what that's going to look like, but we would see Emil Blonsky in human form at some point in the series. Actor also mentioned that his return would be weird, while praising the lead star Tatiana Maslany by describing her as a powerhouse. Roth then teased that fans should expect to see a bit of everything in it.
I wondered if, obviously last time we saw Abomination was in Shang-Chi, and he was powered up, let's say there. I wondered if maybe we'd be getting flashbacks, and that's why we would potentially see him depowered, if you will, or in his human form. Or, maybe he'll be able to go back and forth. I don't know. I would have thought if he would have gone back and forth at Shang-Chi, we probably would have seen him go back there. But regardless, great. I'm just excited that he's coming back. Incredible Hulk is a movie that I really enjoy, and it's always been kind of the forgotten movie by people. And I know we have, Secretary Ross came from that movie and stuff, but for the most part, that movie is ignored. I'm excited to see more ties to that movie coming in.
Clay saying, what is quote unquote everything in the MCU? All the things. Just like I said about Star Wars, all the cameos. All the cameos. You get it all.
That's right.
S-Bubs saying, back to tank, flashbacks, heal Abomination back to human form.
You know, that back to tank it's powerful stuff.
Flashback to, yes, always with the flashback to at that point. I mean, I more, this didn't seem like a spoiler to me just because I just had a feeling like, oh, well, of course we'd see him in human form at some point, with a flashback or something. You know, this series is intriguing in the sense of it's going to be kind of comedy-like at that point, you know, where WandaVision had their kind of comedy moments. I would more kind of put that a little more dark comedy just because of what was going on behind the scenes. This does have that feel like I think we're going to get a little more comedy than we've gotten in the past. So
yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, that's pretty much what they said they're shooting for with it. So yeah. We'll find out, and we'll see how the Abomination, not a comical character by any means, fits into that.
Exactly. All right, well, that is all the news from this week. So, again, a lot of very interesting stuff. What do you think, Brendan? Are we going to get Madame Webb 3 weeks in a row, or do you think we'll be taking a break?
I think we will have a little bit of break. They got to make some room for that jackpot news or something.
Don't tease me like that. Gosh. All right, so let's head into some listener questions. So I think we got a few this week. What do you have?
First up from Fanboy Clay, who's hanging out with us in the chat. Do you think Marvel Studios will not show any cameos, including possibly Toby or Andrew, in the trailers or marketing for Multiverse of Madness? Chris, what do you think?
I think we'll get hints of cameos. We might get one or two ones that are shocking, but not the big ones. So would they show Toby or Andrew? I'm leaning towards more and more. I think it's Toby that's going to be in this at that point. I think it's a tough ground for them to show certain ones, but I think if they do, they'll show one or hints of some of these variants or cameos.
So I was talking with Ray, my co-host on Fans Without Borders, and I don't remember where we were talking about this, if it was on a Patreon discussion we had or if it was in the main show. It all runs together. But regardless, I told him I've long been on the bandwagon that Toby was going to appear in this movie. I've thought that for a long time. And I got to wonder, I got to think, they already did the whole let's hide Toby from the movies, right? Let's pretend he's not in it. Oh, he's not in it. What is everyone talking about it? We're only focused on Tom Holland, blah, blah, blah. No, of course he was in it, right? You can't do that again 6 months later, right? Like that's ridiculous, especially in a movie that is rumored to have so many other cameos. And I think at least a couple of them are going to end up being true. But what could you do? Let's just hypothetically say Hugh Jackman appears in this movie as Logan. Okay, let's just say Wolverine's going to show up. The original Wolverine is going to show up in this movie, but you want to keep that a secret. Well, what's a good way to keep that a secret? Show Tobey Maguire, who everybody already knows has come back. He's already suited up again within the last year. He has already done it. Him coming back in that movie will be a great story with Sam Raimi being the director. It would be great for press junkets, and it would allow them to kind of, do a whole magician's trick, like distract you with Toby over here while you're not looking at the fact that we got Nicolas Cage's Ghost Rider over there or something like that, right? Like hide the cameos with the ones that people are already gonna not be as surprised by. Let's be real. As awesome as it was to see Toby, you're not gonna be surprised or as surprised by him showing back up in Multiverse of Madness because he already did it. It'll be a much bigger surprise for Hugh Jackman, or it would be a bigger surprise for Patrick Stewart, or insert any past Marvel actor you want than the one we just got a few months earlier. I hope Toby's in it. If he's not, okay, cool. My big thing with this movie is I don't want the cameos to do, I guess, small spoilers, but I'll still be vague. I don't want what's happening to Boba Fett to happen to this, where as amazing as the last 2 episodes of Boba Fett have been, he's been overshadowed, and I'm just going to leave it at that, but he has been overshadowed. I don't want Doctor Strange to be overshadowed in his own movie. That's my my one big hang up about the cameos. They proved they could do it with other movies. Spider-Man No Way Home. I don't think Tom Holland was overshadowed by either of his preceding Spider-Man. If anything, I think he was enhanced and his game was raised by their presence. If that kind of thing, great. So do I think they will not show any cameos? I think they got to show something. I don't think they're going to just go the whole. And to me, Toby we already know about American Chavez. We know about Wanda. We kind of even pretty much know, though I don't know if it's been official, about Loki and Sylvie appearing.
There's been a lot of stuff saying those aren't necessarily happening.
Okay, so if they don't happen, fine. If Toby's in the movie, show Toby so you can distract from some of the other stuff.
I would, like I said, I'm with you in the sense of show Toby. That one you don't have to go around, but this whole idea, some of the what is it? The promotional stuff is getting out, and this idea of maybe a variant Avengers being seen. Yeah, show some of those hints of like have the Iron Man suit kind of come forward, but don't voice it at that point. Like show these a little bit of hints without showing everything. Get people talking. Get people. Oh my God, could this be? Could they bringing back RDG? Like just. I like those little bit of teases. Instead of just not showing it, show a little, but just a tease to get people talking.
Show somebody on fire flying in the distance or whatever, that way. We don't know who it is, but we can all just start talking about, is that Human Torch? And if so, who's it going to be?
Yep, exactly. So, all right. I see we got S-Bubs. He's in the chat and he's got a question.
He does. Do you think Namor will be referred to as a mutant in Black Panther 2, or will they go with a different backstory and not mention it specifically? That is a tough choice, especially with how many rewrites Black Panther 2 has had to go through. My gut reaction to this was not be mentioned as a mutant, but not also definitively say he's not a mutant. Basically, leave it open so they could fill that in later. That was my gut reaction, but I wouldn't be surprised if he referred to himself as a mutant.
Yeah, I'm with you. I say he's going to be superhuman enhanced. Again, I think the first time we hear mutant being uttered, it'll be X-Men proper. Something specific towards the X-Men or hinting towards that. I don't see Namor being our first, even though, yes, comics accurate. He was the quote unquote first mutant introduced at that point. But, if we really want to go further back, it's Apocalypse. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I don't see him being mutant and go with a different or just an enhanced super being at that point. Or, again, from Atlantis, he is who he is.
Yeah, I'm just curious to see how they're going to do it. And especially with him, my big thing just continues to be how are they going to differentiate him from what they did with Jason Momoa and Aquaman. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Multiverse of Madness could drop a mutant mention. Yeah. Oh, we'll wait till my Fact or Fiction.
I mean, I think there's going to be a mutant, but yes, we'll wait. All right. Next up from Hunter, he says, if you had to pick your own spider suit from any movie, which would it be? And feel free to mix and match the lenses and face. This is tough. If I had to pick just one costume as like my absolute favorite, I would probably pick the upgraded suit, the one with the black highlight from the end of Far From Home. I do really like a couple. This is hard because I genuinely appreciate them all. But if I had to pick one, I would probably just pick that one. But picking it for me, I mean, if it's going to hang on the wall or something, absolutely. But I'm not putting that thing on. No way.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Spider-Man 29 for my main suit. The lenses, if I'm going to go... Actually, we'll go Spider-Man 29 suit. We'll have that lovely superior kind of extra arms going on there at that point, and the Ben Reilly lenses.
There you go. I did like Andrew Garfield's lenses, like the darker ones. I did really like those. I thought those looked pretty cool.
Yeah, cool question. I like it.
All right, Philip Barker, if you had to choose a storyline to adapt for an unused character yet brought to film or streaming, who and why? Sony, MCU, all on the table.
If you had to choose a storyline, adapt an unused character.
I have two answers.
Yeah, why don't you go? Because I got to think on this.
Well, the first one, we know it's going to happen. It's inevitable. So I'd like to just throw it out because it's Miles Morales. That was truly my gut reaction. My wife said Gwen Stacy, but we were talking about that at dinner. So I'll say my real answer is Nova. I want to see Nova. What story? Annihilation. Yeah. I want to see. That's who I want to see. I love. No, I mean, Nova's like the Nova Corps is like the Green Lantern Corps of the Marvel Universe. I want to see that absolutely. So Nova, Richard Rider, Sam Alexander. Richard would be my preference, but honestly, I don't care. I'll take either of them.
Yeah, when we got this the return or hinting toward a Chris Evans, I'm gonna go with I would love to see Secret Empire. Just really, really would like to see it done in an MCU adaptation. I know it's a controversial one. I know it's not a huge favorite at that point, but it would be cool to get a little more peek into that world.
Sure.
So, but all right, so. Good questions this week. Good questions. Thank you all for writing in. We always appreciate that. And so let me pull up the fact or fiction. So from last week, these are what you threw at us. So number 1, by the time Marvel Alliance hits episode 100 around the week of March 27th, a 4th Spider-Man movie starring Tom Holland in the MCU will be formally announced. 13% said fact, 87% said fiction, so...
They didn't like that one.
I mean, I think they like the idea, they just don't think it's really going to happen, so...
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see, and the Brent can say #Brent told you.
That's right.
Number 2, an established Spider-Man will appear in Sony's Kraven the Hunter movie. 56% said fact, 44% said fiction. And then number 3, the Insomniac Spider-Man will appear in Across the Spider-Verse Part 1. 92% said fact, 8% said fiction.
There we go.
So there we go. We got some people siding with you on that. All right, so let me pull up my fact or fictions. Give me 1 second. There we are. All right, so my first one, at least one Eternal will join the new Avengers team.
Fact. Definitely happening.
Now, follow-up, who do you think?
Cersei's my best guess.
Yeah.
And she's got to my knowledge, she has the most comic connections there. Icarus is not exactly hanging out with them right now. He flew too close to the sun. He did. I mean, they got, what is it? Is it the world? Not the world engine. The whatever. They'll bring him back. But Cersei is my best guess there.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. That she's leader in their own right. She could be that bridge between both teams. Next one, we will see Tom Holland Spider-Man and Florence Pugh's Black Widow, Florence Pugh's Yelena Belova team up in a future MCU project. This is coming from
Tom Holland
himself at that point. But I said, you know what, let's make it a fact or fiction at that point. Will we see that team up between the two?
Okay, clarify.
Mm-hmm.
As part of a larger team up, or like just the two of them?
I mean, I would say like somehow like they meet up at that point. I don't think a whole movie focused on the team up, but she happens to be there and they have a little bit of an outing or something like that. So.
All right, I'll go fact. I think it'll happen. If nothing else, if they want to keep Tom Holland around and he wants to work with her, then make it happen. And it would be awesome. It would be great. So hopefully, I do think overall it would be as part of an Avengers movie or something like that versus just Spider-Man and the Black Widow. That'd be great, but it's just not what I see happening. But exactly. Yes, there will be something with just the two of them. Fact.
Yeah, S-Bub's saying for the previous one, I'd like both Makari and Druig on the team, but I don't think they would join. Yeah, I don't think they would join either. Druig being
definitely Makari. Gosh, her powers are so cool.
Druig will be too busy laughing in another universe. Yeah, a little bit. He loves them riddles, right? All right, my last one. This one, I don't know. I have a funny feeling about this one. The Professor Xavier cameo in Multiverse of Madness will be the Professor X from the X-Men animated series and not from the Fox live-action series.
In Multiverse of Madness.
In Multiverse of Madness. We've already talked about the rumors that Patrick, Professor X will be going. I don't know if it's Patrick Stewart. There is a lot of smoke with this one. But I said, let's get crazy. and not necessarily make the Fox canon, but kind of make the X-Men animated universe MCU canon.
Okay, do you mean like Space Jam style, like Roger Rabbit style, where there's truly an animated character, or like they would get the voice actor?
No, they like we see the yellow floating chair.
The yellow floating chair.
That yellow floating chair is the dead giveaway. That is what I'm kind of talking about. Like you did not see that in any. You saw the floating chair, but not the yellow floating chair. That yellow floating chair is just known for the animated series.
I'm gonna say fiction, with the caveat of they are bringing that show back, and I am still convinced that. They put Marvel Studios on that name. They did, and I don't remember if I talked about that in another Fact or Fiction or not. I'm gonna have to look at my past ones. I'll just say I will acknowledge there's a non-zero chance, but I'm gonna go fiction.
I am going hard fact on this one. I'm putting all my chips in on this one. This one, I will be saying if Marvel's gonna get crazy with this, let's get crazy and put it in there. So
okay, I did use that for Fact or Fiction already. I was going to say I have questioned. I think that they will cross over somebody from the X-Men '97, as it's going to be called, show with What If. I don't necessarily see that. And Clay said in the chat he thinks it'll be Patrick Stewart, but he's playing the '90s X-Men character. My only thing about that is that going to be satisfying? Do people want to see, like, would you have been happy if Tobey Maguire came back but he was a different Spider-Man? No, you wanted him to be that Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. So unless Patrick Stewart plays multiple characters, unless he's more than one Professor X, I just don't see that happening.
Yeah, I mean, I totally get that. Again, I wanted to get some crazy, want to get some nuts with this one. So
you definitely got nuts with it. I mean, hey, you know what? If it'd be fun, let's. We don't need Space Jam style though. We don't need
no.
Mix to that.
No, I'm definitely not. I haven't even seen the new Space Jam, so.
Not as bad as people say. It's not. It's not as good as the first one, but not as bad as people say. Let's be clear.
And it more has to do with it's just not on the top of my I have to watch list. So it'll be one of those. Hey, I'm bored kind of nights.
Good one for the kids. Good one for the kids.
Gotcha. Well, all right. So I will post those as usual Sunday afternoon. So let us know your opinion. Say how crazy I am for my last one at that point. But all right. Well, let us get into. Ooh boy. Comic Book Club, Daredevil Born Again, issue 228. Wow, Brent. This was an issue.
Yeah. Matt is not doing so hot.
That's putting it lightly, not doing so much. Talk about, it's not only just a fall from grace. Like we thought last issue, like everything was taken away from him. Now here's the after effects, and he has lost his grip on reality.
Yeah, in fact, a couple of times I had to reread sequences to be like, okay, did this really happen, or is he just imagining this? Is he hallucinating this? Because it kind of jumped back and forth, and it was super captivating to read, but I did find it made it just a little bit challenging at times to know. And I think that was the point, what's really happening to Matt and what's not.
Yeah, especially, as he starts going back and forth, like he's in this, like, small room. He's got $10 to his name right now. He's convinced it's Kingpin, and then you get some of the Kingpin dialogue of how he just knows he's driving him nuts. He knows he's going to come there, and just hearing Kingpin's underling talk about what he's been tailing Matt and what he basically ended up doing on the train. It was just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I really like the way they did that, and I like the descriptions that he has. Like, let's say that Matt's response to these guys, to these muggers, his response was extreme. Like, just the way he would describe it. It's like his first move, unfortunately, I was unable to regulate as I myself was distracted. Like, just the way he was detailing it all as they're showing us Matt just crushing these people.
Yeah. And the fact that, we get Karen trying to reach Matt, and obviously it's been disconnected because the building no longer exists.
Yeah, funny how that works.
But this desperate fight between Matt and Kingpin, and Matt getting getting a few good hits in, but one leads me to believe that at some point Kingpin wanted that to happen so that he could just destroy him because he knew Matt's not in his tip-top shape. He's brought him down. This is basically, in so many words, what later would happen would be Bane versus Batman. That first outing. He is down as he is not on his tip-top shape, and the fact that we leave the issue with basically they took Matt's body, put it in a quote unquote stolen cab car, crashed it into the ocean to hope that he'd be dead, drown, and every Matt Murdock's legacy would be totally in shambles. But you can't keep Daredevil down. You can't keep Matt Murdock down.
No, and they did more than just steal the cab. He had taken a club from a police officer earlier, and they used that club to beat the cab driver. Yep. Not to death, but nearly to death.
They took Matt's club. Matt's broken club.
I thought that was the one he got from the police officer. Okay, I misread that.
Yeah.
And then they gave him I don't remember what they said it was, some type of alcohol, vodka or something was with him, or whiskey. I think it was whiskey, and put that in there with him so that could be found. And then of course, I love that final page or not the final page, the second to the final page is Kingpin is just kind of detailing the plan, and he's looking all smug, and then the way his eyes look when he finds out there's no corpse in there. He had to have gotten out.
Yep. And again, this is just within basically 3 issues, Matt's life has come crashing down, and it's right now continuing getting worse, and especially right now where, the next issue being like a pariah. I mean, he really much is right now. He is radioactive to the highest level. So, yep. I'm again, it's been so long since I've read this, and my goodness, reading this afternoon, that issue is just oh my gosh, it's hard to not just jump in and read it all at that point. So, yeah. But, all right, well, we will continue on with issue 229 next week. And all right, well, we have put volume 92 in the books. So, hope we will see if Madame Webb comes back again next week. But all right, well, we want to plug, as always, our official sponsor, OrganicPriceBooks.com, for all your omnibus collected edition needs. Use that code MarvelGUA at checkout. After we close out the show after our post-credits chat, I'll be hopping over to our weekly OPB After Dark chat. So subscribe to Organic Price Books on YouTube, and every week we're doing a chat with the group over at OPB. And so if you want a double dose of Chris, see me over there with JP and the crew in a little bit. And Brent, tell people how they can follow you and plug fans.
Yeah, Brent Tech Prime on TikTok, on Twitter. Fans Without Borders, we dropped an episode this week. Basically kind of a grab bag episode, picking up on several different news items that had come out over the last few weeks.
Not Morbius.
We had taken off. No, we did talk about Morbius, just not the Morbius review. So go ahead and check that out, Fans Without Borders.
Good, yes, and you can follow me on Twitter at Chris Balgi. You can follow my other show, World's Finest True Believers, at Finest Believers. You can follow this show on Twitter at Marvel 8 Podcast, and me personally at Chris Balga. Oh, I already said that. Man, it's a late night. And you can email the show at marvelalliancepodcast@gmail.com. You can follow the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network on Twitter at GUAPod Network. Feel free to tweet, email if you want to provide feedback, fact or fictions, answer, give us some questions to put on the show. Continue to rate and review Marvel Alliance solo feed and GUA feed on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever platform of choice may be. Thank you all for joining us in the chat. We really appreciate it. Thank you all for listening. Stay safe out there, everyone. And as Stan the Man would say, Excelsior, true believers. Well, our post-credits discussion this week is comics focused again. 2 weeks in a row. We get 2 Madame Webbs. Why don't we do 2 weeks in a row with comics at this point? So Marvel had put out, you can't, as you're marching, even though we're just into February for the first, February, the beginning of February, we have to start figuring out what this big summer event is for Marvel. And they started doing hints like Marvel does, putting quotes out there, images. Well, they have unveiled the summer event for 2022, Avengers, X-Men, Eternals crossover event. So coming from Marvel Comics, from the brilliant mind of superstar writer Kieran Gillen and the incredible talents of acclaimed artist Valerios. I'm going to really butcher this name. Skitty comes Judgment Day, a Marvel Universe spanning event launching in July. Already redefining the Eternals mythos and Eternals, and soon to be shepherding the next age of mutant kind in Immortal X-Men, Kieran Gillen will take his work on both sides, as well as the recent storylines in Jason Aaron and Javier Garron's Avengers run, for an odyssey that will usher in a dramatic developments for the three core mutant teams. And delivering breathtaking action, high-stakes thrills, and transpire where the superheroes, titans clash. The X-Men have achieved immortality, and the mutants have taken their place as the dominant species on the planet. The Eternals have discovered a long-hidden knowledge about the species, including a devastating truth about mutant kind. The Avengers have come in direct conflict with the Celestials and are currently using a fallen Celestial as their base of operations, slowly unlocking its secrets. When the Eternals brazenly target the mutant nation of Krakoa, the Avengers try desperately to de-escalate a potentially apocalyptic war. But this is no simple conflict. The Eternals' purpose cannot be denied, and mutant kind's future will not be threatened. And after the opening battles, new players and revelations for both sides will emerge, as the inhabitants of the Marvel Universe are judged by the greatest power they've ever come in contact with.
I like what SBub said in the chat. This is the Phase 6 blueprint. Yes, I actually think there is possibly some truth to that. This sounds cool. Like, it does remind me a bit of AVX, Avengers versus X-Men. I really enjoy that one. Of course, the Eternals is getting a bigger push right now. I don't know if you've read any of the current Eternals run. I've read a couple of the issues. Not bad, kind of interesting. I'm going to continue a little farther because I heard a spoiler about the Eternals, because the Eternals and the X-Men right now are both similar in that they can technically be killed, but they can come back. They can be brought back.
Yes, they can, thanks to Go Balls.
And yes, and I kind of heard something, I guess we'll call it a spoiler, but I'm not going to say it here, about what happens when an Eternal is brought back. And I want to get to that point and see kind of the aftermath of that. I'm a few issues away from it. I think that by now I have enough of them on Marvel Unlimited. I just need to get there. I'm playing on at least reading to that. It's been decent. The X-Men I've been off and on lately, and the Avengers same. But this, yeah, I mean, bare minimum, I will absolutely try out the Judgment Day series. I don't know if I'll read, all the inevitable 37 tie-ins, but
Yes.
the core book, yeah, I will absolutely, 3 months behind schedule, check this out.
Yeah, I'm beginning a reread, starting with the Dawn of X titles. I think this weekend
my.
I'm going to start doing this in the order that they put the kind of series in. Not like I'm reading X-Men, like I'm going to be reading issues as they were supposed to be kind of read together at that point. So yeah, I've got a tall task in, but I'm an X-Men fan, so I've loved Hickman's run, so I've read a good chunk, but now I want to do a proper reread. So I've really enjoyed what Hickman has established. I know when Inferno wraps up, he is stepping away from the series, but I've really enjoyed this kind of revitalization of X-Men. I've really, again, the fact that they have their way, that no mutant can be dead forever, but it comes with some stipulations, and it comes with some costs that do this. In fact, one character has bit the dust publicly, and they had to find a way to, they were going to bring this person back, but now that they've publicly been killed, they cannot reveal that they have this ability.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna.
It
was that I was glad they finally broached that, because I said that's going to be a tricky topic, and I'm glad they took that chance to do it, because it's an interesting way. But yeah, I'm a sucker for these series. I didn't care much for what was it? Empire was their last one. I thought, them trying to get the harken back to Annihilation and being the cosmic, I don't think it landed really well. I love the artist who's going to be the artist on this series. I think his work was outstanding work. Love what they do with it. But yeah, I mean, Kieran Gillen, proven writer. Stuff, just everything that he's done from Independence to Marvel, just great work. Absolutely outstanding.
I want to mention that there is an X-Men run that on Marvel Unlimited is only 4 issues out. right now. Jerry Dugan's writing it. I did try that one out on Brock's recommendation. It's
Okay.
pretty good. And Brock, I sent this to Brock, and he thinks the X-Men will just demolish the other teams, that they're just too powerful right now. But like yourself, he's a big X-Men fan, so we will see.
Yeah, the Avengers have been taking some good hits on the chin lately. I have not read the recent Eternals run. It just wasn't jiving with me, so I've kind of skipped out on that. But I know with the good thing about these Marvel events is that they had those long introductions and beginning to catch everyone up, so you can just kind of be okay to start reading the series. And as always, don't need the times unless you really want to. The proper series proper will be fine. But I'm excited. It sounds like a cool series. You know, it does. Yeah, I know some people say, "Oh, didn't we do this before again?" But you know what? The way all these teams are kind of standing to the forefront, I'm very curious to see what's going to happen. So, all right. Well, we will catch you next week. And again, stay safe out there, everyone. Catch you soon.
See you later.